Hey guys, welcome back to another flashlight review. And today's a very exciting day because there's a new flashlight I want to show you all. This is the Nextorch TA31, and it's a brand new light that Nextorch has literally just released. I don't even think it's available on their website at the moment. It's going to be out pretty shortly, if not already by the time I post this video. And this is the most powerful tactical flashlight that I have in my collection. It's 10,000 lumens, and I know that's been done before in other flashlights, but it is rare to see it in a tactical light, as most companies tend to choose a more conservative LED configuration and output for a lot of these tactical lights. So pretty much what you see is what you get. I was thinking it might come with a holster or something like that, maybe some other accessories, but this is pretty much it. I've attached the lanyard to the TA31. You do get a USB-C charging cable. You've also got the instruction manual here. Very easy to read. It's just basically one page. And over here, of course, the TA31. Now, how about the battery, you might be asking? Well, it's basically inbuilt into the flashlight, so you can't remove it. There are a couple of screws there, but essentially it is inbuilt. And this here is the box that the TA31 comes in case you want to pause the video and have a little read of some of the specifications. Okay, here on the side, you can see as well some more information on the back. Got a bunch of instructions on how to charge the lights. You've got the battery indicator as well. More sort of blurbs. Interesting, it doesn't tell you what kind of LED is in this light. I've not really seen this LED before, but we'll talk a bit more about that later. But yeah, again, you can pause the video if you want to check and have a look at some of these specifications here and the side of the box as well. Okay, so here we have the Nextorch TA31 next to a few other flashlights just so that you can gauge the relative size, and Convoy L21B here to the left, and you can see it's almost as long as the L21B. The bezel definitely isn't as wide, but if you compare it to, say, the Nextorch TA30C Maxes, which is one of my larger Nextorch flashlights, unless you bring out something like the Nextorch T20L, which is around about the same size as the Convoy L21B. Anyway, you can see that it does have a bit of heft on it compared to the TA30C Max. Okay, even just looking underneath the bezels like that, I mean, it's, yeah, probably, I wouldn't say maybe twice the size, twice the diameter, but almost twice the diameter. The interesting thing, though, is that the battery tube, as you can see, is actually thinner. It's got smaller diameter when you hold it this way. So, yeah, just that 2 times 21700 configuration. Nightcore P23i as well here for comparison. Alrighty, so here is a little close-up of the Nextorch TA31. And you will notice that Nextorch lights have this kind of military look and feel to them. And it's no surprise given that they do provide these lights to various law enforcement agencies around the world, mainly in Europe. And yeah, the TA31 definitely manages to preserve this same kind of military aesthetic. The simple, smooth design. Let's turn over to the back. Very low key. I like that. And there's nothing that sort of sticks out. Nothing super shiny as well. Some aesthetic, tasteful cutouts as well on the head, just to stop it from rolling around. Not that the body's going to roll around anyway with this sort of design. And the anodizing is pretty grippy. It's a matte black, grippy kind of anodizing, and it's the same kind of anodizing that you see on almost all of their lights. And I'd say Nextorch use some of the toughest anodizing compared to other actual flashlights that I own. And I know that because I often carry these around in my bag, and sometimes they come loose in the little carry case that I put in my bag, and they knock around, hit each other, and the Nextorch lights always tend to show up the best. They just don't have any dings or anything like that compared to some of my other tactical flashlights out there. So they've probably used a more thicker coat, more evenly applied as well. And yeah, what can I say? It's excellent quality finish. You can tell as soon as you hold it. And again, that anti-roll design does come in handy as well. It's a tactical feature. So looking at the back there, you can see on the light, there's this rotating switch. Now there are 3 modes. You make out what they are: lock, duty, and tack mode. So the tactical switch here also is on the back. The cool thing is that this switch on the back also doubles as a battery indicator. You can press it while it's in lock, and we can rotate it from duty to lock. Same sort of thing. So that's full. Like I mentioned before, this 2x 21700 cell battery pack is not user replaceable. So one thing I definitely noticed when just unscrewing the head, which is where you charge the light, by the way, hidden USB port. I love this design. You know, you've got these 2 screws here, Torx screws. So guessing that's got something to do with removing the head and maybe accessing those batteries. But again, that's something that's going to void your warranty with Nextorch. But yeah, I do, like I mentioned, think this design here, this USB-C charging design, really is so practical. And the fact that, you know, it's underneath the head prevents any kind of water ingress. You've got that nice, thick O-ring there, plus the physical barrier of the light itself. So if you hit that area, that's not going to damage or wreck the driver. So it's really the best of both worlds. And you don't see too many flashlight companies implementing this design, because I think it just requires more machining, more work, requires a bit more planning, not to mention increased costs. This is the belt clip, which I've tried out in my testing and have found it to be very firm and just latches on nicely to the belt, holds the weight of the flashlight well, and surprisingly is quite comfortable. All right, let's have a look here underneath the bezel. Okay, so you can see those 4 LEDs in there that I was mentioning before. They all produce together 10,000 lumens on the highest mode, so 2,500 lumens each. I'm not sure what LEDs these are. They're not SFT 40s. Sure, they look a bit different, but yeah, like I said, they do produce a lot of light, and you've got this smooth reflector as well, this 4 times smooth reflector, which really helps to increase the throw of this light. The smaller reflectors at times can be sort of tricky to balance out. I do like that Nextorch have included this titanium bezel as well, an upgraded titanium bezel with these 3 ceramic glass breaking beads, and these are extremely effective. I've tried them out firsthand, and there's also a little surprise on this one. You can see here there's a couple of sort of darker areas on the reflector. These are proximity sensors. So basically when you have your hand or any sort of object in front of the light, when it gets too close, it does reduce the brightness and step down. So if you have that in your bag and you accidentally switch it on, it's not going to burn a hole through your bag. Nextorch provide a pretty generous warranty. It's a 5-year warranty, and the batteries have a 1-year warranty. All right, so let's go through the UI. I'm going to show you how the light works. Now, while the light is in lock mode, as you saw before, when you press that back button, nothing happens except the battery indicator switches on. Okay, now if you switch it over to the tack mode, that's basically allows you to access the 10,000 lumen mode. You can see it steps down. Okay, back here, nothing. Move my hand a little bit closer, and it steps down. Okay, if you full press the button, okay, so half press gives you momentary, full press gives you a strobe. I really like this 1-step strobe and 1-step turbo mode integrated into the same button with Nextorch flashlights. It just makes it so easy to use to access both those modes, and especially when you're in a situation when you're panicking as well and you want to access that strobe mode. Most of the time people are going to press that button really quick. and that's going to automatically activate that strobe mode. There's no triple press, none of that sort of stuff, which you're definitely not going to remember in the heat of the moment. So moving over into the duty mode, basically how this works is you turn the flashlight on, okay, by a full press, and then you half press to cycle, okay? Then you've got an eco, low, medium, high, and just basically cycles between those 4 modes. You can't access the momentary turbo mode. Another thing you can do is you can even just half press, okay, and hold, and that previews the different modes. And once you're ready, you can actually press all the way through after previewing to lock in that mode. But that's pretty much it. Very simple UI. And this is something I appreciate a lot more these days. I know some of you are Anduril fans, but for me, I prefer a UI that is just simple and foolproof. All right, so let's talk a little bit about performance. And you can see here on momentary mode, the 10,000 lumen mode. I just wanted to test to see the actual step down of this. And it was kind of tricky to test because I had to have my hand actually on the light the entire time, holding that momentary button down in order to access that 10,000 lumen mode. You can see the light basically starts up and you've got about 15 seconds before it steps down. Now, the good news with this though is that you can continue to reactivate. So you can see just after the half-minute mark, I'll reactivate the turbo mode again, get another 15 seconds, activate again, another 15 seconds, fourth time, again, another 15 seconds. Now, on the 5th and 6th time, you'll notice that the light will not reactivate that turbo mode again because it does get pretty hot. And so it's sort of reduced the upper level of brightness down to just about half. Here's a second ceiling balance test that I ran on the high mode, so 6,000 lumens. You can see starts out at 100%, and at the 1 minute mark steps down to about 30% of its output. 6,000 lumens, so pretty significant amount of heat being produced still. But the good thing though with this step down is that it allows you to really be able to hold that light properly. I've got other lights that I just can't hold on to after a couple of minutes, and if you're actually using this in a situation where you need to be able to hold that light to see what's going on, to see what you're doing, heat regulation is just super important, even more so than the overall output. Here is another ceiling bounce test, and this is on the medium mode. So starts out at 100%, and at 2.5 minutes, you can see the light begins to step down. By the 5 minute mark, you're left on about 60%. So I would say that is about 1,000 lumens. Final ceiling bounce test here on low starts out at 100%, as you can see, and there was no change in output. So I ran a bunch of tests with my Opal Lightmaster Pro, and these figures are based on switch on. You can see here on the momentary mode, so I just call it turbo because it's the highest mode available. It's only accessible through holding down that button halfway. On tack mode, measured 414 meters of throw. Very impressive given that the array of the LEDs here just, it's more sort of a floody configuration, but just due to the sheer output of the light, you're managing to get nearly 0.5 kilometer of throw. CRI ranged between 68 and 69. No surprises with a light like this. That's more, I guess, designed for visibility. CCT, again, pretty basic, pretty predictable, 5,700 to 6,000 K, so more on the cool end. The TA31 produces a massive hotspot, lots of spill, and of course these 4 smooth reflectors really help to increase the throw of the light. So some considerations that you need to be aware of. First one I mentioned already, the battery pack. So it's not user replaceable as stated by Nextorch. I think it might be possible to replace it by undoing those screws, but it's going to void your warranty. You're probably just better off sending it off to Nextorch if the battery has any issues or if you need to get a new one after a certain period of time. The second consideration, this light is pretty large. So as you can see, due to that bezel, this is something that you're not going to be able to fit in your jeans pocket. Thankfully, it comes with this belt clip, which was very comfortable when I was using it, doing beam shots, just using it outside and walking around with it as well. Though I wish Nextorch included a holster. I do have a feeling they may release another holster design for this eventually. And I just heard from Nextorch as well that the TA31 has won a red dot award. So maybe they release some other accessories that will go with this light later on down the track. The third consideration is that proximity sensor, and this is I guess a divisive sort of point. Some people really like it, some people don't. I thought it would have been good if I could deactivate that proximity sensor. It's not a deal breaker, but yeah, something to be aware of. So overall, this is the brightest tactical flashlight in my collection. I really like that dual battery configuration as well. It just allows for greatly extended run times on each mode. You don't get that battery anxiety, especially on those lower modes as well. 1000 lumen mode, that's going to last forever. You know, on turbo, it does step down fairly quickly, but it's good that you can reactivate it again. And the heat management, like I said, is excellent. So it just makes this a much more practical light for sustained use. Do get tired of lights being too hot and burning your hand. So I'd really recommend this one if you want a very powerful tactical flashlight. It's also practical, built to a high standard. You know, even if you're someone working in security, law enforcement, you need something with a little bit more grunt. The TA31 is an excellent choice. So if you're interested, go ahead and check out the link in the description. I've got a discount voucher there to the TA31. You'll be able to get 10% off if you purchase through that link. If you have questions as well, just let me know in the comments and I will get back to you, because I know there's always something that I miss out, or maybe some questions that you guys think of later. If you like the video as well, do me a big favor and click the like button. It's pretty much the only way that my videos get recommended these days. It doesn't cost you a cent. And if you want to keep updated with the latest flashlight reviews and news, then make sure you subscribe. All right, I've got the Nextorch TA31, and let's put this on the momentary mode, highest mode available. So momentary turbo. And look at that. I mean, absolutely amazing output. Goes all the way down to the back of those trees. And I've just got this gigantic hotspot that just illuminates the entire field. The great thing about it is that you can just continually reactivate that highest mode. Okay, so let's go through to the different modes. You've got yourself duty mode as well. So I'll just cycle through these different duty modes. So you basically got 4 modes in there. Okay, so you got kind of like a lowest mode, low, medium, and high. Okay, activate that in the highest mode like that. All right, and then we can pop that on again, just back to that momentary mode for the highest mode, which is even higher than the high mode on duty mode. So 10,000 lumen mode. Okay, incredible. Okay, so I'll go for a little bit of a walk and show you what the beam profile looks like. And the interesting thing about this light is that it has a very conservative step down. Okay, now it's just all the way back to turbo again. But it's great for just keeping the light nice and, you know, comfortable to hold. It does get a little warm underneath the head, that's for sure. Okay, you can see the step down just occurred on that. Okay, steps down to roughly about 1,000, maybe 1,500 lumens. Okay, I think that's necessary for a light that produces 10,000 lumens. You know, you really do need that proper step down to have a decent sustained output. Okay, there's that step down again, and there is a temperature. There's a temperature module in there that will sense When it gets too hot, step down automatically. So it's not a timer. Nextorch TA31, and let's go on 10,000 lumen mode. And this is pretty bright. Just amazing how much spill this thing produces. Okay, really cycle between that strobe mode and the 10,000 lumen mode very easily. Okay, let's go to the duty modes. Okay, so that's the lowest. Second mode. Okay, I think that's 600 lumens. Third mode. Okay, 1,500 lumens, I think. Oops, let's go to the highest mode. So 6,000 lumens, that's the high mode. Not too bad. I mean, better than pretty good actually. And I'll go for a little bit of a walk and show you what it looks like, what the beam profile looks like again.